before we did anything, I wanted to show off my Marcus Mariota shirt since it's no longer relevant and he's been traded to the Raiders. And so we are deeming today Marcus Mariota Day in recognition for his many contributions. Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. Really excited about what's in store. I went and got some siblings together and started to kind of just discuss some of the challenges associated with this season and specifically how they have touched families and the sibling relationships. Yeah, really excited for you guys to listen in on us, so check it out. Okay, so first question, I want you to tell me name, grade, what school you go to, biggest surprise in this quarantine season.
My name's Elise. I'm a sophomore and I go to Berthoud High School. And the biggest surprise is all the family issues that came along with being quarantined.
My name's Faith. I'm in 8th grade and I go to Turner. And biggest surprise was that my sister had to go to the emergency room.
Oh yeah, I did go to the emergency room, but I got hives all over my body and it got hard to breathe, so they had to take me to the emergency room. So now I have steroids.
What was it hard to get service just because of the COVID?
So it was pretty empty actually, the hospital. They
Okay.
just had one station at the door. You walked in, they took your temperature and they signed you in. And when I said I'm having trouble breathing, they sent you right back. There really wasn't a wait. There was one other person there.
Hi, I'm Kellen. I'm a freshman at Loveland High School. And I think one of the biggest things that, the biggest surprises through this whole experience is school got canceled for the rest of the year. So online school is new and it has a lot of challenges.
For me, just everything being shut down again and not being able to do anything.
Every day, me and my younger siblings, we go and ride our bikes around the neighborhood.
I think the biggest surprise for me in this season is how much I look forward to grocery shopping now. You know, that used to be a weekly chore, oh great, we got to get food. But now that's the one time that we get out to do anything. And so it's almost become like a date night. Tell me something new you've learned about your family or your siblings because of the extended time spent together.
Being around each other, we learned there's a lot of issues in our family, so there's a lot more issues that go on, and that me, my mom, and my sister we need each other and we need to stick together. We've gotten a lot closer, which is one of those nice things. Yeah,
that's amazing, isn't it? How you'll extended time together. It's just a bigger opportunity to recognize some of the finer details in your family, whether it's exciting stuff or challenging stuff. It just kind of floats to the top.
We've all spent a lot of time together. We've all been talking, and I think it's just we have to reaffirm each other that we're okay, that we love each other, and that we need to focus on maintaining the relationships we do have and making sure we're all heard and talk to each other.
What's something you've recognized or seen that's just different or new or you don't get to see all the time?
Oh, she's really good at algebra homework. I hate math. It is the worst subject you could ever have. And so having an older sibling who's been there and done that, it makes everything so much more bearable.
She's very resilient. She's not one to show emotion a lot of the time, but she's a lot of wisdom.
That's huge, actually. I've learned that about some people in my own life who, when they don't have much to say, whenever they do speak up, it's worth listening to.
It's just weird because we're around each other a lot more. So we're siblings. We know a lot about each other, but we don't always get along that well. We'll go ride our bikes or something and hang out to try to so we're not all mad at each other. Me and my little brother will go play a board game or something with our dad. So we'll just try to do something else That way we're not just leaving each other alone and then us being still mad at them.
Okay, so what I'm thinking about is ESPN's about to release this documentary on Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in their kind of like last season together. You know, like the team didn't necessarily all like each other. And yet even so, they still kind of had this focus of like, hey, we want to be good. We want to win games. We want to focus on a championship. And one of the things that they keep talking about, at least in some of the promos, is like, hey, we just took our attention and focused on something else. And so whether it's a video game, a board game, getting outside, riding bikes together, like there's some wisdom in, hey, let's take the focus off of each other and redirect it to a common goal.
Sometimes during the week at night, we'll all sit down on the couch and like watch TV, and that's some time that we all get to spend together, and that's fun. When we're all together, dinner, that brings us all together. That's when we're not all like by ourselves doing our own thing. That's a certain time when we're all together.
Hey, great conversation so far. Really appreciate the insight we're getting. Stay tuned after the break, and we'll keep the conversation going.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Oh no. Hey, welcome back. Let's jump back into the conversation on this here Marcus Mariota Day. You go back in time, run into yourself on January 1st, and you can pass on to yourself one piece of advice in light of a quarantine that's about to happen, you know, being stuck together with your family. What piece of advice do you give yourself a heads up on?
We don't go out much, so it's like it's not really that different than what we would normally do.
Yeah.
It's probably just like take every day in stride. Don't let one moment define your whole day.
Maybe like don't overreact to the small things because it really kind of like adds up. And so if you're like not overreacting, then you can kind of like not be so stressed out about everything.
Take care of yourself and your family. Make every moment that you're hanging out with your family matter, because you don't know when this virus will start infringing on the things that you like to do in your life.
Just enjoy like every moment you were like friends or family. Because now you can't really see everybody, like your friends, family, or enjoy like the things you do with them. Because now you can't do anything. Decided to just stay home.
Yeah. And so what are you most looking forward to when the stay-at-home order is done?
The state was shut down on my birthday, so I wasn't able to get my license. So 2 days after the quarantine ends, I have my driver's license test. So hopefully it doesn't get postponed. Well, it's sad because like, I had a car and I was ready to get out there. But now that I'm like, it's quarantine, I wouldn't have been able to get out anyways. It's less of like an exciting thing. It's more just like, oh, this is something that's going to happen eventually.
I'm really looking forward to high school because this is my last year of middle school. So I get to go into high school cross country next year, and I'm really excited for that.
I think going to school, because it's very boring staying home all day, and I'm excited to get back to school.
For me, just seeing my friends and family.
Man, so grateful for just the vulnerability that these students have shared. On the other side of the break, I'm going to offer kind of a reaction, some closing thoughts, and we'll wrap up this week's episode.
They say there's nothing to do in CG, but there's an old water slide that you can slide down and die.
Hey girls, can you tell me what day it is? Can you tell me the date?
So just as we kind of wrap up this week's episode, immediately my reaction is I was surprised. I just wasn't expecting such vulnerability, but definitely these families, these groups of siblings invited us into some challenges personally for their families and what's going on in their lives. And so at first I felt really honored by that. The other thing that I kind of recognize is just this bigger idea of how the Lord doesn't waste pain. One of the cool things about this season that, since we don't meet together at church, you end up listening to a bunch of other churches throughout the country who are doing their online services. So I was listening to a preacher this week out of Dallas, Texas, who did a teaching on, it's fun to talk about how the Lord redeems, how the Lord takes what's broken and makes it better. And those are all good things, nothing wrong with that. But then the Lord also describes himself as one who's in the midst, as one who walks with us in the pain, how he doesn't abandon us. Is that the God of the universe doesn't look at us and say, hey, I like you for your potential. I like you for, even though things are terrible right now, I accept you because this is going to be something great in the future. That's not God's motivation. God's motivation is, hey, as you are right now in the mess, as crazy as things are, you're worth dying for in this moment, just because you're made in my image. And so I see that in these students' lives, because in this moment, as they're walking through the challenges of this season and how it's impacting their family lives and their structures, and they're having to confront some of the messiness of being with family. Like even in that space, the Lord is at work providing relief. The Lord is at work providing, a board game. Let's go ride a bike together. Hey, let me admire your algebra skills. Hey, let me recognize your ability to be wise. Let me recognize your ability to be resilient. To recognize all of these things in this space is the Lord at work, not in our potential, not in the future, but it's the Lord entering the mess with us in that space. And even if we never get better, like we're enough now for Jesus the Son to come down and sacrifice everything for us. But the fact of the matter is the Lord is just too good, too great, too powerful for us to never change. While he loves us as much as possible where we are, and he loves us too much to just remain in that space. And that's just what happens when you encounter eternal, true, powerful love. So real grateful for these students and just how they serve to point us to that message. So love you guys. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode. Again, next week, real excited about what's going to happen. We're going to interview some students who are literally seeing things ripped away from them, rites of passages, productions, opportunities to perform stuff that they've practiced. Man, how do you deal with that? Next week, Wednesday, 6 o'clock, right here on YouTube. Thanks.